Like he gave me a 1 lakh rupees initially to invest in the markets, and that 1 lakh rupees I ended up trading and I ended up making it completely zero. Today we are exporting 65 billion, tomorrow we'll be exporting 130 billion. So, and there are say 10, 20 large companies and 40, 50 small companies. These are the companies which will turn more than $1 billion over the next few years. Like a doctor, if you're operating your own child or your own relative, your hands would shake. What we do as a professional is separating out emotions.
Hi everyone, welcome to Upsurge podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, all the way from Delhi. Very excited to welcome Divam on the show. Divam is an investment manager with an experience of 15 years. He's a chartered accountant. He holds a MBA degree from Indian School of Business. And what's more interesting is that he has been investing since he was in 10th grade. So welcome to the show, Divam. I'm very excited to speak to you about your investing journey and your small cases and how the journey has been in the markets. Like, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I'm very curious, since you started investing since 10th grade and now to founding Green Portfolio, let's start from the beginning. How has the journey been like?
So I had my family, I had my father investing into markets very early on, and he had seen the Harshad Mehta time. He had seen all tops and bottoms of the markets, and that was the starting point. It was like being discussed. He used to do it, so I used to follow him. Then how it triggered was when I was in 10th grade. I happened to meet my accounts teacher, and that accounts teacher was very much into markets, and he used to on all the time he used to talk about markets, and that got me curious, and I used to talk to him about markets after the class. And when I started my 11th grade, I took accounts, I took commerce, I kept on interacting with him, and those interactions actually made me more curious. Although he was mostly into trading, but that trigger was the starting point. And then I kept on, like I started investing very early on. My father gave me a few, like he gave me a 1 lakh rupees initially to invest in the markets. And that 1 lakh rupees I ended up trading and I ended up making it completely zero. And once that, there were a lot of learnings, right? Initially, when you start investing, you have a lot of learnings. So over trading, doing FNO. So we did all that early on, and I burned my fingers, and I ended up cutting these points down that I'm not going to do these things in my investing journey. After that, we used to figure out a few penny stocks, right? So we used to think that as when you're young, you think that I should be able to pick up certain stocks which will make me rich overnight, right? You are so aspirational that I should become rich overnight. This is the place where you can, a lot of careers have been made, a lot of fortunes have been made. So we tried to figure out penny stocks, and in that journey as well. So we used to believe that there was some ex-promoter who was making promises that, okay, I'll start this industry, I'll take money, I will do these revenues, I will do these profits. But actually they ended up losing the complete money. They ended up winding up the company. So that made us think a lot, right? So those were the early days. So that made us think a lot that, okay, that if there is someone making promises, what is his background? Is he actually someone who has delivered something in the past? Like, say, if Tata is coming and saying that, okay, I'm going to start this plant, that means you're going to take it on his word, because he has that goodwill, he has delivered that in the past. But a new promoter who is saying that, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, but he doesn't have a past, and he has not delivered in the past. What that does is that you are not able to, you should not be relying on him, right? Rather, when the turnaround actually happens, when he actually do those things on ground, like say, आप थोड़ा महंगा ले लो, आपको you need not buy it like at the very bottom. You cannot buy it at the very bottom, you cannot sell it at the very top. So आप थोड़ा महंगा ले लो, but when the actual turnaround happens. So those were learnings. You kept on evolving yourself. When we were like, then gradually we started allocating capital to fundamentally strong companies, reading the balance sheets. Commerce लिया था, थोड़ा सा understanding भी समझ में आ रही थी. Then I did my CA. So then we used to make very concentrated portfolios. So when you make very concentrated portfolios, like large investors do that, right? Very mature investors do that. We were not that mature at that time. We were learning, right? It's still it's a learning process continuing every day. But that time we used to look at a very concentrated portfolio. But what that did was that markets went up. वो उनमें से कुछ सेक्टर नहीं चले, कुछ स्टॉक्स नहीं चले, एंड we our average returns were lower than the market, right? And then we realized that, hey, let's not have that concentrated a portfolio for now. Let's have a slightly more diversified portfolio, right? So we made a 15 to 20 stocks portfolio. We were making a 5 to 7 stocks portfolio. Now we started making 15 to 20 stocks portfolio. Then we were so aggressive initially that if we liked the stock, we used to go to the market and circuit पे भी stock खरीद लेते थे. जैसे हम मतलब if there is a stock that we are liking, we will put circuit and we will buy that stock. चाहे 20% ऊपर लेना पड़े, we will just go and buy that day. But then we realized that you should do it in a staggered manner, because markets hai, you'll end up averaging stocks only. I think that makes more sense, right? Averaging the your allocation while entering the markets and while exiting also makes more sense. So we started staggering our investments, right? So then another set of learning happened when we started this green portfolio. So initially, before green portfolio, we used to talk to our friends and family, and like whatever stocks we used to buy, we used to guide them that okay, these are the stocks you can buy. But when we started green portfolio officially, you have to when you managing public money, you make a lot of changes in your philosophy, right? Then you get further mature. Initially, if you are managing your own money, you tend to take more risk, you tend to concentrate your portfolios, you tend to invest in illiquid kind of propositions as well. But when you actually invest for the public, you would actually go and reduce the risk of the portfolio, you would diversify, you would stagger. So those learnings also happened with time, right? So public managing money was a different tangent altogether, right? When like recently we realized that okay, like March May, our initial set of investors, if you look at, I'll give you a learning curve, right? So 2018 is when we started the PMS. Initial first 2 years were not that good for the markets. 2018, 19 were not that good, and then COVID happened, right? Although 2018, 19 we were doing very well, we were outperforming the markets by a good margin. But what happened was 2020 में COVID आया, तो like say some of our investors who invested in 2019, like say that time PMS, the minimum investment was 25 lakhs. So some of them went down to 18 lakh rupees because COVID happened, markets crashed all of a sudden and went down to 18 lakh rupees. And some of those investors exited. That, oh, market is crashing, I don't know what to happen. And like as it happened, as the market turned around, as we all know, within 6 to 8 months or 1 year, these 18 lakh rupees, those who retained the money went on to 70 lakh rupees. So then that gave us a lot of learning, right? And then those 70 lakh rupees, then we saw Russia Ukraine event, then we saw inflation and everything. Then market 1 year did nothing, right? जो 18 lakhs का 70 हुआ, those people now started coming back to us. You 70 lakh is already delivered, you're not delivering those kind of returns now. So people then thought that okay, this is a normal, what you have delivered is there. Now why are you not taking? So it's, for the investors also, you have to take them through the learning curve, right? So we used to talk to them very closely. We used to understand what their thinking is and evolve that discipline. I think investing requires a lot of discipline. You have to continue doing what you are doing. Like abhi recently learning hua ki, see, we've been investing a lot into chemicals, pharma, etc., right? 2018, 19, 20, these were our champions. These were champion sectors. But last 1 or 2 years, pharma did not do well, chemical did not do well. And so there was an ad that used to come in the about the markets that you should not change the queue, right? If I am standing in a queue, if I shift the queue, ironically sometimes it happens that this queue starts moving and that queue stops. So we like whatever decisions you take in your market, you have to keep it very disciplined. You cannot change course with every change of time, right? Like market mein ye chal raha hai, so I should start doing this now from today. So if you have a niche, if you have a strategy, there are n number of ways to make money from markets. You can trade, you can do this, that. You have to create your philosophy. You have to keep it disciplined, and you have to continue doing that on a regular basis, right? So that was one of the biggest learning, right? So you hear a lot of noises in the market. Okay, now chemical pharma is not doing well, let's shift to this sector, let's do this, let's do this. A lot of our investors start coming to us and say, giving us ideas that, okay, why don't you do this, why don't you apply to this IPO? But then you have to keep your focus and discipline. You cannot change your course with the change in times. So these were all the learnings, and I think it's a very exciting journey, and we continue to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, thanks for that intro, and learned quite a bit. So, and it's very uncanny that every matured investor that I've spoken to has one Harshad Mehta reference. So, no, I want to, I mean, you manage, I mean, crores of rupees now, right?
Yeah.
What I want to know is your first investment. So, was it like beginner's luck, or was it successful?
It was completely zeroed. So I invested in a company called Karuturi Global. So
Okay.
that was into the plantation of roses, and they were buying some land in Africa and wanting to expand the rose manufacturing. That was cheap there. That was very big promises, right? They bought a very large parcel of land, and I thought that, okay, if they're doing this and there's so much of margin, and we were also in our teens, right? So roses were there in our mind all the time. So you actually used to think that, okay, they are going to do great, right? So I invested in that company. It was almost a penny stock, and then it turned out to be a like bankrupt company, and it ended up in zero. So initially, I would say that I was lucky that I did not have beginner's luck, and I that gave me a lot of learnings to actually ponder and to actually carry on with me in my investment journey as a professional.
Yeah. No, I think, I have a similar story, but absolute beginner's luck. So there was this company I invested. I was in fourth year of engineering, and it just doubled in 2 weeks. And I was
Wow.
like, oh wow, I've cracked it now. The pocket money for next month is sorted. And then one more, so we used to just, on some groups, there used to be messages and all. So my friends and I, we used to refer that and buy stocks. So we bought the second company, and it just tanked. So we lost all the money.
Oh.
And I feel like, at that time we should have had something like Upsurge. We could have learned a lot of things.
अगर आप ये वीडियो देख रहे हो तो आप ज़रूर किसी कंपनी को पढ़ना और समझना चाहते होंगे, और अगर ये बात सच है तो मेरे पास आपके लिए एक गुड न्यूज़ है. एट अपसर्ज हमने एक कोर्स बनाया है विच इज़ अ कंप्लीट कोर्स ऑन फंडामेंटल एनालिसिस, जहाँ पे हम काफ़ी सारी इन डेप्थ टॉपिक्स डिस्कस करते हैं, जैसे फिनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स को कैसे पढ़ा जाए, वैल्यूएशन एनालिसिस क्या होता है, और मल्टी बैगर स्टॉक्स को कैसे पिक कर सकते हैं. ये कोर्स हमने क्यूरेट किया है नमस्कार प्रसाद के साथ, जिनके YouTube पर 20 लाख से भी ज़्यादा सब्सक्राइबर्स हैं, और उनके वीडियोस ऑन फंडामेंटल एनालिसिस बहुत ही ज़्यादा फेमस है. तो वीडियो पे वापस जाने से पहले जो लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में है उसे चेक ज़रूर कीजिएगा, एंड डू एनरोल फॉर दिस कोर्स.
Tell me about, starting a PMS and all. They have their own set of challenges. But in 2018-19, right, like launching Green Portfolio and then managing a PMS. So how was it like?
See, launching a PMS was natural to us. We were investing into the markets, and our stakes in the markets were increasing. And a few investors who we were helping do some investments, they were doing pretty well. So we got some good success stories. We made a few 100-bagger stocks as well for some of our friends and family. So they also got very excited and said that, okay, you take this money and you manage this in a professional manner. Our stakes were also increasing, so we thought that we should be doing it in a professional manner. We never knew how deep is the market. So we did not have a background of a very big face coming from television or from a very large institution, but we had a good background of family. So I was second generation into investing. My partner was 3 generations into investing, all chartered accountants. So that background of investing and that learning curve was there as a professional. So we just started this. We were we met. I and Anuj met in our CA together as interns working with a chartered accountant. And there we used to discuss stocks, and it took us good 3-4 years to take the license. We made the company. It took us to good 3 to 4 years, and 2018 is when we took the license. Early 2018. So 2018, when we took the license, initially, if you are starting up a PMS, you have to set up a lot of base, right? So you have to set up your philosophy, you have to set up your products, you have to set up your research team, operations, right? I remember that we were making forms for so we did everything on our own, right? So we did not want to burn in our company. So what we thought that everything, even the PMS application to SEBI, we manage ourselves, right? So usually people hire KPMG, PwC for doing these applications. We did ourselves. So initially we were setting up our processes, we were setting up our research, what should be the research report format. So initial 2 years, and then market was not doing well. So initial 2 years we had some basic set of our investors who knew us, friends and family. Initial set of investors are usually friends and family. Then we spend that time in getting things in action, right? Getting things on ground. Our initial set of research people were also newbies to the market, right? But we used to work with them very closely. That we used to guide them, sitting with them on each and every aspect, right? Then gradually we improved our, I would say, hiring standards. So what happened was the best thing that happened to us was small cases in 2020. So 2020 gave you uh, a lot of good space, mind space from investors, because everybody was wanting to do something. Everybody was at home, and people wanted to actually uh, do investing. Markets were volatile. There were opportunities. The markets were started doing well. So a lot of people wanted to do something over there. We were very early on small cases, and that actually gave us a lot of thrust. We actually went on and did a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of webinars, a lot of investor interaction. We used to get investor attention, and those initial investors actually did very well. So what happens is, when investors, if anyone is investing money with you, uh, returns is definitely very important. But other than that, they need to be they need to have trust on you. They need to have that comfort with you, right? Then they invest with you. There would be times when you are underperforming the markets. There would be times that when you are outperforming the markets, you should be disciplined for sure. You should be delivering for sure. But there would be times where you are underperforming or outperforming with some or the other fund managers. But what would keep investors stick to you is that how connected you are to the investors.
Yeah.
So that connect we were able to establish early on with the investors. We got a very good growth over there, and that thing actually helped us get a lot of PMS investors as well. So gradually, and we kept on delivering. We kept on working very closely with our investors. I remember that then when Russia Ukraine happened, then that growth plateaued, and then for that time being, and then we that time we went back to our customers, handhold them for making them understand that markets will not go up forever. They will be like this and this, right? So because a lot of these investors were newbies, and they only saw up in the market, right? They never saw down and downfall in the market. And when they saw the downfall, they got nervous.
Yeah.
That okay, this also happens. So then we established our relationship team, that we would talk with you very closely, and we would work with you very closely on your financial independence journey, right? So those things happened, and then again market started doing well. So then again now they're doing well. So I think that handholding happened, and it was a great learning experience for us as well. I think मजा आता है यार, मतलब ये जो करते हैं हम लोग, इसमें बहुत मजा आता है, because we are actually doing something which we love first of all. And I think financial well-being is a very under talked topic, which you guys are taking very well care of. That we always talk about physical well-being, mental well-being, but financial well-being, I think, is very important, right? If you are financially independent, if you have certain amount of savings, you actually uh, change the way you live, right? You take decisions more independently. You are more happy, right? So we think that what we are doing, uh, right, is very important, and we enjoy doing that now. And learnings, I think, would continue as we move in this journey as well.
A very fair point on, financial well-being. So tell me about your relationship with money and how has it, evolved over the years?
See, my relationship again. So when you start off your journey early on, in your early days, uh, when you are a teen or when you are like in 20s, or right, so then that time you actually think that, okay, I should have more money. I should buy a fancy car. I should have a foreign vacation and all that, right? Gradually, when you actually have that, you do these things, then you gradually your things tend to change, right? You tend to become more mature with time. I think your priorities change with time, right? So and my relationship with money was again like this. I used to I used to do a job with a bank, right? And I remember I started off with a 60,000 rupees a month salary, and as an analyst. And there I used to like whatever savings I used to have, I used to save most of the money that I used to make. I used to save that, and whatever savings I had, I used to invest that into the markets first of all, right? मेरे अकाउंट में 1,000 रुपए भी नहीं होते थे कई बार, है ना? मतलब just used to invest initially, just so, because I had that background, 10th class से invest करा था ये सब, ठीक ठीक है. उसके बाद then I was so eager to quickly scale this portfolio up that I used to take personal loans, which investors should not do. I used to take personal loans and used to invest in the market. I was so confident. We gradually developed that trade, but we made money on that as well. Like in personal loan का interest होता है 12-13%. I made more than that as well from the markets, but that was the initial part. You had more greed to actually do well for yourself. And then that those things, then you see different types of markets. You see 2008, you see right, different types of market where markets have fallen a lot as well. And those phases of market teach you a lot. There were phases where एक साल 2 साल कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा था. There were phases where रोज इतने पैसे बन रहे थे कि हमें लग रहा था हमें काम करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Like times like now, you are seeing times where everything is going up and everybody is getting scared, right? There were times when these phases teach you a lot, and these phases give you a lot of discipline. And then gradually you realize that, okay, you have this wealth will be made. वॉरेन बफे ने भी अपनी पूरी लाइफ में 19% 20% पे कंपाउंड किया है. आई थिंक इफ यू कंपाउंड एट दैट लेवल, इट इज ह्यूज. यू विल एंड अप मेकिंग, द ओनली थिंग दैट यू नीड टू डू इज लिव लॉन्ग, right? So you will end up making a lot of money, but what you have to do is you have to keep it disciplined. You have to, I think discipline is the key. मतलब कुछ भी नहीं बाकी आप, you have to keep a single philosophy which should not vary with different types of markets. It should not keep on changing. You should keep a philosophy, evolve that philosophy, but you should not vary that philosophy. I think that is how I have evolved as a money for myself. Yeah.
Quite interesting. I mean, at like a phase where we are in, this helps us a lot. How do you think about money and your investments? So help me understand, your approach of buying high quality at the right price. So how do you select stocks in this theme?
See, fundamentals are very important. So we are long only kind of value and growth kind of investors, where we look at growing companies which have historical good fundamentals. Like you have to look at the historical fundamentals in terms of sales growth, in terms of various ratios, operating margins, this, that, in terms of profitability of the company. So we are very traditional mindset investors, where we look at fundamentals more than anything else. We look at sectors which we understand, right? where like sectors like where India as a country has delivered, right? Sectors like chemical, pharma, textile, capital goods, where we have the know-how as a country, as entrepreneurs, and we have delivered in the past, right? What additionally we look at is a lot of qualitative factors, right? So quantitative is definitely important when you are screening the company, when you are looking at the company. You look at a lot of quantitative factors on the historicals, but you have to look at a lot of story pointers in the company, right? How is the management? How is the background of the management? What steps is the company taking? How much is the company spending on its research and development? How much is the company spending on its brand building? How much does the company care about its customers in terms of customer service? You do a lot of ground research. You talk to a lot of stakeholders around the company. You track the historical last 3-4 साल के आप एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स निकाल के देखोगे तो आपको काफी कुछ मिलेगा. अगर वो 4 साल से एक ही बात बोल रहा है और वो डिलीवर नहीं कर रहा, दैट मीन्स ही इज जस्ट क्रिएटिंग फेक promises but he's not delivering it. You have to look at the trend. If he has said X things, how much of them has he delivered? You look at the historical trend, right? Historically, how has the promoter delivered in the past, right? There are some like things, like basic things that we look at, like say if the tax rate is 25-30%, is the promoter how much tax is the promoter paying? How much is he thinking about the stakeholders, right? So a lot of things we look at, right? And we invest in these companies for a long term, right? The idea is to find multi-baggers. So we try to find below the radar companies in small and mid caps to find multi-baggers which could create wealth. If we are investing in any stock, we are not investing for 20-30% as a fund. We are investing for minimum 100%. So that 100% sometimes that multi-bagger sometimes comes in good markets, in markets like these. That multi-bagger might come in 2 to 3 months or 6 months as well. But sometimes it takes 3-4 years, 5 years as well. Yeah. Right? So it takes a test or so. We are ready to invest in those companies for 5 years with the condition that there should be no red flags that should come in the future. If there are any red flags that come in the company, or like in certain cases, management sold off the company to some other management, we exited. We found out that there was some political connection with the promoters through some case that opened with them, we exited. Right, so we'll keep on evaluating those companies on a quarterly basis. We keep on meeting those management on a regular basis. But if we feel that there is any red flag, there should be no red flag in the company because we are investing for long term, right? So if we find any red flag, we'll exit that company. So alongside this core philosophy of value and growth, we also look at certain themes, right? So certain themes like these days in high quality right price, we are looking at like last 2-3 years we've been looking at Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? I think that theme has played out really well, and that theme will continue to play very well. We have seen companies coming and apply for PLI. We have seen government supporting them, that they're putting anti-dumping duty. They are helping companies expand exports. So we are seeing a lot of action in Atmanirbhar Bharat. We have seen Apple iPhones. We are seeing them made in India, right? So and exporting from India. You now in Apple, lot of Apple you see made in India tag, right? So all those things are happening, and that Atmanirbhar Bharat and that COVID has taught us, right? That countries like Sri Lanka, countries like smaller island nations, you have seen them going bankrupt as well because they were not self-sustaining in their manufacturing. So that self-sustenance in manufacturing coming from Atmanirbhar Bharat, coming from PLI, and that opportunity that we are seeing coming from China Plus One, where people want to diversify from China, and that digitization theme that we are seeing across the country, where UPI is becoming a big trend, infrastructure is getting developed, and infrastructure overall. We saw China spending a lot of money on their infrastructure in 1999 and 2007. And that infrastructure creation, that those roads, those ports, help them scale up rapidly across the next couple of decades, right? So that infrastructure spending and that infrastructure creation happened for India, luckily, over the last 8-10 years very rapidly. And that zeal we are continuing to see. If you look at the last two budgets, the government is spending a lot of energies in creating mega textile parks, in creating roads, in creating logistics policies, right? So all those things clubbed together are playing a very very vital role for the India for the next 2 to 3 decades, and we are keeping a lot of focus on those themes along with the core philosophy that we have of growth at reasonable valuations. Having said that, high quality right price is more tending towards the mid cap side of stocks, and we have a similar philosophy called small cap compounders, which is similar philosophy but more towards the small cap stocks. Uh, all the stocks that we put in the portfolio, we usually keep a 15 to 20 stocks kind of a portfolio. All these stocks that we put in the portfolio are highly liquid. So that's how we develop these products.
So, you mentioned chemicals and pharmas. I'm curious to know, how do you address the risk associated with these sectors, and are you bullish on these sectors?
Definitely yes. If you look at, see, there are cycles in every sector, right? We have seen cycles like pharma last 2-3 years did not do well. Chemical last 2 years did not do well. There were reasons for it, right? Like last 2 to 3 years, pharma saw great growth in COVID, but last 2 to 3 years there were a lot of issues. Like US FDA was an issue. The kind of growth that they saw in COVID did not come because there was a extraordinary growth. Then it plateaued. Then there were issues with China supply chain. India was not making APIs, which is a key ingredient of making pharma. India was not making APIs, and China then shutdown happened, and we were not getting inputs from China to manufacture in India. Likewise, these days, chemicals is getting some issues, like in the sense, China, when they opened up, they did a lot of dumping in chemicals, which actually pulled down the price of chemicals, and that actually reduced the margins of a lot of these chemical companies. So there are issues in both the chemicals and pharma sector, but of late, if you look at the valuations, they have gone really comfortable. Pharmas as a sector, you look at, there are a lot of large companies in pharma and small companies in pharma that have started to do exceedingly well in their results, right? Their operating margins are improving. US FDA, I was looking at a trend that US FDA, India used to see a lot of observations 2-3 years back. Like every company used to see US FDA observations, and the stock used to tank. But now if you look at those the observations, so FDA approvals have increased from 84% to 93% now for the Indian companies. uh, India exports 20% of generic to the world. India export 60% of vaccines, 60-70% of the vaccines to the world. India is exporting more than 500 APIs now. So, and this trend is increasing, right? Pharma as a sector has been very big for us, and as an export also, 2024 we are targeting a $65 billion export to the world in terms of pharma, and 2030 we are expecting to double it to around $130 billion of export to the world. सो आप एक बात सोचो कि अगर अगर हम अपने एक्सपोर्ट को डबल कर रहे हैं, टुडे वी आर एक्सपोर्टिंग 65 बिलियन, टुमारो विल बी एक्सपोर्टिंग 130 बिलियन. So, and there are say 10-20 large companies and 40-50 small companies that are there, that are key in the market, available in the market. These are the companies which will turn more than $1 billion over the next few years. So the growth is humongous. है ना? मतलब earlier we used to, like in chemicals, we used to export say 2% of chemicals to the world. Now we have increased that market share of the world into 3% of chemical exporting to the world. Now we are targeting in the next 5 years, and we have done a recent agreement with UAE. In the next 5 years, we are targeting to increase our export market share of chemicals to 10%. So आप सोचो कि कई सारी छोटी छोटी कंपनीज $1 billion हो जाएंगी because and that we have worked in the past as well. Last 2 to 3 years we saw a lot of PLI schemes. Like एक pharma में एक PLI scheme आई, where 230 companies applied to that PLI scheme. Right, so उसमें क्या है कि if you are expanding your base, if you are increasing your capacity, if you are doing capex, and whatever you manufacture for the next 5 years, additionally, the government will pay you 5 to 15%. So you come to scale and you compete with countries like China, and you become a good competition to China, increasing our export potential. So those kind of things are happening now, right? So now we are seeing a lot of क्योंकि अब क्या है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनता जा रहा है, गवर्नमेंट वर सपोर्टिव, कंपनीज वर डूइंग केपेक्स, a lot of capex is also going to happen in the few years. Private capex is अभी revive नहीं हुआ है, अभी revive होगा तो और बहुत और ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएगा. So what is happening is these sectors are sectors. अब पहले क्या होता था, आपको अगर अगर आपको बेसिक क्रोसिन भी बनानी है ना, तो भी you used to import from China. And that was very basic thing, right? Why? Because China was cheaper. Yeah. Everything what we used to make in India was China was making cheaper than us, and so we used to import from China. We used to start our manufacturing in India, but with the support and we have the know-how to make it, right? With the support and with what lot of events that happened. अभी हम 13 nations के साथ free trade agreement कर चुके हैं, right? It is from a globalized world we are shifting to a world where things are more like we are re-engineering this process as well. We are going to do business with countries which we have favor or we have free trade agreements, right? And we are discussing free trade agreements with UK, with a lot of other countries, large countries as well. So उसमें क्या होगा, a lot of business will shift from China to India, right? China exports around 1100-1200 billion dollars of chemical to the world. India exports only 30 billion dollars. आप ये इमेजिन करो, अगर हम 30 बिलियन की जगह 60 बिलियन भी कर दें तो बहुत सारी हमारी कंपनी मल्टी बैगर हो जाएंगी यहाँ से, right? So that's what we are targeting. We are targeting that, and over the last couple of years, over the last 1 year, we have seen that pharma and chemical valuation, stock valuations have gone very low, right? And when they revive, pharma has already started to revive. Chemicals might take 1-2 quarters or 3 quarters to revive, but when they revive, these are the sectors where you'll see opportunities, right? So every sector goes through rotation. You have to be considering them with the discipline that जब वो महंगा हो जाता है तो you have to sell that as well, right? And जब वो सस्ता होता है, you have to go and buy with both hands. Yeah, so we like chemicals and pharma a lot, and that's where we are very bullish.
So, हम लोग ने केमिकल की बात करी, फार्मा की बात करी. Let's talk about business to government companies. I mean, these companies are doing well these days, if you look at the stock prices. But what's your view on that?
See, historically, as a fund house, as a discipline, what we evolved, we do not invest in government companies, first of all, right? But if you talk about business to government, that sector has evolved a lot, right? Usme historically a lot of issues were there, that payment was an issue, change in policy was an issue, lot of such issues were there, right? Now with a lot of, so what we saw over the last few years was a lot of public capex. When public capex happens, like government is ordering a lot of infrastructure projects, government is giving a lot of defense projects, right? When all these things happen, what happens is like there's a lot of GDP multiplier, lot of domestic players evolve. So जैसे हमने एक कंपनी जे कुमार इंफ्रा में इन्वेस्ट किया, they have huge order book. मतलब उनके पास इतना order book है, वो 10 साल भी complete नहीं कर सकते. They have to increase their capacities, right? So we saw a lot of these companies doing pretty well. We invested in a company called Titagarh Wagon, which used to make wagons. Now they are making railway coaches. They also made a ship. So there are a lot of evolution in the business as well. And the stocks have done really well, right? So yes, there are opportunities because a lot of public capex is happening, a lot of private capex is going to happen in the future. These players, a lot of these companies which offer their services to the government, I think that the mindset has also changed from the government side as well. Government is also pushing these projects. There's a consistency in the policy. The payment policies from the government to these entities have improved. right? The project types have improved. Like पहले क्या होता था कि अगर आप infrastructure project बनाओ तो build, operate, transfer करके एक होता था. So what used to happen was you have to spend your own money as an infrastructure company, build the project. say 1,000 crore का project है, you have to build that project through your own internal accruals, and you have to and you have to operate it for 20 years, collect revenues in the form of tolls, and then you used to like recoup that money. So a lot of these infrastructure players used to take a lot of loan to build these 1,000 crores of projects. Now there are hybrid annuity model, right? So the models have changed from the government, right? And we have also seen a lot of investor interest where they have bought these annuities, like a lot of pension funds buy these annuities and give money to these infrastructure companies. So a lot of infrastructure companies have gone asset light, right? So a lot of things have improved over the years, and I think and I think there are a lot of opportunities. अब जैसे defense में a lot of opportunities are definitely there because we import so much of defense equipments and we are now making in India, and we are also exporting from India. So definitely there are a lot of opportunities, but you have to be very cautious and very selective while going into those opportunities. And like we would stick to private players offering B2G services, then public players offering B2G services as a fund house.
So, I'm pretty sure you're bullish on ESG as a sector, right? But what do you think? Is it here to stay or the theme will fade out?
See, ESG as a theme, so it is very interesting and very close to us. So, ek to on a lighter note, we as green portfolio, people think that we are green first, right? Our initial thought as a newbie to the market when we made we took this name was that green signifies positive returns, right? But green as a theme luckily evolved a lot, right? So this theme I think is here to stay for sure. अभी COP में COP 28 जो उसके बारे में बात हुई अभी recently our Prime Minister went to Dubai, and in Dubai also there was a lot of discussion around environment and sustainability. G20 में there was a lot of discussion around this. So focus is definitely there, right? India wants to be net zero going forward, like say a 2080 target, right? So all these things are there. You are seeing a lot of money flowing into this ESG theme in terms of money coming from like there are green bonds which are issued. So trillions of dollars of green bonds will be issued over the next few years, and that money will go into ESG first stocks, right? And into ESG first companies, right? That bond money is going to like obviously help sustainability as a cause, right? So investor interest is definitely there. Foreign institutions का investor interest है. Indians who are getting rich, they have investor interest that okay, I want to invest in sustainable companies, right? And we are seeing those type of sustainable companies coming up in India as well. So first of all, theme is definitely there, and that theme is going to continue, right? We are seeing carbon credits getting like traded. We are seeing a lot of like focus on in this space. Now ESG, you have to look at it from a very layman angle, right? Environment. If you look at so see, say I am an IT company, right? I am anyways not polluting in the environment, right? So, but still, and TCS versus an Infosys, you have to look at who is spending more towards reducing the energy consumption, who is spending more towards getting carbon neutral, or who is spending towards like solar, right? So you have to look at what they are. So like you have to compare with the peers, right? So on ESG parameters, there are a lot of rating agencies in India, right? And these rating agencies actually rate companies on how they are faring as on ESG parameters, E, S, and G. Now what we are seeing is that a lot of these rating agencies only cover the few large companies of the market. Right? If you have say 7,000 companies listed on the exchange, these guys only would cover say 500 companies. But we mostly are investors into small and mid cap, and there the coverages from these agencies into ESG parameters are not there. And what we are doing is we are closely tracking these companies on ESG parameters, and we are internally rating these companies, and we are seeing a good positive alpha that is being created on ESG parameters, if you are rated well on ESG parameters. So we are doing it with a twist where we are investing in small and mid cap companies who are rated better, who are taking say if you are discharging waste, you are a chemical company, you are discharging waste. Are you taking steps to reduce the discharge or treat the discharge? Right? It might cost you money at today, but if you look at it from a long term, it might reduce your penalties that you might be attracting because of so much of waste disposal, etc., etc. So these things are actually attracting investors. These companies we are seeing are slightly more expensive than the companies who are not focusing towards ESG. So I think this trend is going to continue, and this theme is going to do very well for investors going forward.
So, as an investor, there are sectors you would be comfortable with, like ESG, chemicals, pharma. So, what are some of the sectors that you are comfortable with apart from these, and what are some sectors that you prefer to stay away from?
See, जो हमें समझ में आता है, we invest there, right? So, like we like very simple balance sheets, not very complex balance sheets. So, हमें and we like profit-making companies, right? So, two things: one, banking as a sector, we find the balance sheets very complex. So, especially the banking companies, we slightly shy away from finding opportunities there. Second, we feel that burn in the companies, like we are seeing a lot of startups coming up, although these are like a lot of them are monopoly or duopoly kind of businesses, and they are going to do well. They are there in our lives. Everybody is using them on a daily basis, but still I think that a lot of these startups, they are yet to so as a private equity investor, they have a different mindset. They have growth in their mind. When they come to the listed markets, they have to concentrate on profitability, and that DNA changing from a growth to a profitability all of a sudden takes a lot from you, right? You have to change everything, right? So I think that, and even markets are yet to digest the kind of business model. In US, you would easily digest a startup with burning cash, but in India, it is still difficult. So it is yet to evolve, and I think obviously we are going to get more startups in the getting listed. But today we are shying away from that as a segment. What we like is we like obviously, as I said, we like very traditional sectors. We like capital goods. We are buying electronics. We are liking very much in this time period. Electronics, I think the PLI scheme, what we talked about, Apple exporting from getting exported from India, ACs getting manufactured in India. I was talking to we were visiting a plant. He told me that China manufactures almost 100x of ACs dot what we manufacture, and now gradually all those manufacturing is shifting to India. And we consume a lot, right? We are still although we are still under penetrated in air conditioning, but like 5-6% of our penetration into air conditioning, and everybody almost gradually would need air conditioning. Truck mein AC have been mandated. Buses, almost every bus will get AC like next 5 years. So that potential is huge, right? And that manufacturing has started to shift to India. So we are no longer importing such large quantities from China. Mostly you have to manufacture in India. So those electronics manufacturing, which was a very big burn on our forex reserves, right? Now is being shifted to India, and that is very much on the radar. We are liking that theme for sure. We are seeing a lot of players which could scale up significantly from here going forward. Obviously, the key sectors which we talked about, pharma, chemicals, textile, we like a lot. We are seeing a lot of business shift towards India, and our exports are improving. So textile as a sector is also turning around. We are seeing that. So I think we are seeing a good so these traditional sectors, capital goods, infrastructure we like a lot. So उसके अराउंड भी जैसे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो बनाती हैं कंपनीज देन से स्टील सीमेंट so we like these sectors a lot, and I think keeping it simple is the key, right? So you have to so what we do is even in these sectors we try to identify we would not try to identify very large players which are very expensive. We try to identify some niche players who have some moats, entry barriers, who would have some who would be available at good valuations, and who have a decent base and can scale up significantly. So we try to identify say we would not buy the first company on the list in terms of market cap of that sector. We would also look at the smaller companies because I think that's where we are able to create more alpha.
So,
Hmm.
now India, we stand at more than 10 crore demat accounts, but maximum of it has come post-COVID, right? The COVID rally that played a very big role. I feel like retail investors like us, we aren't well equipped to deal with market fluctuations. We've only seen a bull run. So, of course, but I want to understand from the other side, like, how do you, when it comes to your small cases, right, handle market fluctuations?
See, we like first of all, there are so much of noise in the market. There's so much of events happening in the market. You cannot look at all the events, and you cannot cover all the events. You cannot predict all these events, right? I don't know what is there in Putin's mind and what is he going to do with Ukraine, right? You cannot predict that. But what you can do is what your stocks are doing, right? Is my company continuing to do well? There might be 5 to 10% up or down in the business, or because of the circumstances, etc., etc. But is the sustainability there? In times like the recent past when inflation happened in US, like housing sales went down. So we have had a look at our companies which are manufacturing pigments which were used in paint for housing and was being exported to US. So we looked at that. Okay, there's on the outlook also for the next few years. We are looking at that. The outlook for the next few years also looks like bad because the housing sales are not going to happen. People are not going to buy new houses, not going to paint them, and inflation is very high. So the outlook from the company was also not that good. So we took a conscious call in exiting that company, right? But usually you stick along, right? If the overall cycle is like fine, like it is going through its phase, but your company continues to do well. So irrespective, like see, first of all, you cannot time exactly कि ये market अभी खराब, अभी रशिया यूक्रेन लड़ाई हो गई, 6 महीने गिरेगा फिर दोबारा से खरीद लेंगे. So that is not going to happen. You cannot time the market. You have to stay invested. What you can do is reevaluate on a regular basis, right? You have to keep on reevaluating. You have to keep on looking at. So we did an exercise where we looked at whether, like in those times, in recent times, where if my revenue falls by 20% or 25% in the companies that we have in our portfolio, uh, how much impact will I be still be profitable as a company, or will I go into losses? So companies with thin margins actually face that problem, right? Like if you have a very thin margin and inflation is there, I'm not able to charge people well, or I'm not able to make. Usually a lot of these companies enter into red, right, on their P&L. So we did stress test on our companies, and we looked at scenarios where even if the 25% fall in sales, or what would be the impact on the bottom line for our companies. So those things we keep on doing, right? So first you have to keep disciplined. Second, if there is a permanent impairment in the business, you have to take your decisions to probably sell that off and like park that money somewhere else, right? And third, you have to do stress test into these companies. So, right, and fourth, keep a discipline. If you still liking the company, you can further allocate in a staggered manner. Like some places where we saw that the opportunity is huge and the valuations have gone really mouth-watering. We actually went on and bought those companies with both our hands. So you have to decide on and see what happens as a fund manager and as an individual, right? Like a doctor, if you are operating someone, if you're operating your own child or your own relative, your hands would shake. We all know
Yeah.
that, right? So and we tend to get nervous. But what we do as a professional is separating out emotions from the investors, right? So we take rational decisions. Sometimes it happens that my 100 rupees stocks went down to 80 rupees. I'll tend to get nervous and I'll sell it. But we as professionals see that, okay, 80 rupees it is getting more lucrative and let's buy more, right? Or sometimes 100 ka 120 hua to we'll okay exit because we made our money 20% okay. But the potential of that stock is say 2 times 3 times. So why would you lose that opportunity? You've identified that stock with so much of patience, so much of research. Why would you lose out? Why would you exit only at 20% gains? So we actually separate out emotions as a professional, and we keep on following up the companies on a regular basis, on a quarterly basis. So I think keeping your head down and working on your stocks is, and not keeping yourself digressed across with the noises that are there in the market, a lot of macro events that happen in the market. I think that is the key.
No, very fair point on being rational, but I think as a retail investor it's very difficult to, I mean, all of us would assume the best case scenario, but humans don't work like that. We are irrational. Like I mean, I have made some mistakes when it comes to investing, and so that's why I personally feel like if you have enough capital, leave it to a professional basically to manage your money. And even if you have a smaller capital, I think expert portfolios would be very helpful there. Like a better way to be rational and manage the money.
What is happening is these days, like 2020 में फिर भी हमारे पास time था. These days, everybody is so occupied. Everybody is busy.
The work from home era is over now.
Yes, everybody is going to office. So what is happening is that our attention, or it is a dedicated full-time job, right? Like even now, like if you look at our research house, we have grown to like a very large team now, right? And you need that team. I cannot cover, like say we are covering 100 stocks. I cannot cover 100 stocks myself. You need a team of analysts to do that, and who are dedicated to that effort, right? And if I think as an individual I can cover, people can give me tips, I can invest, but I am not told when to exit, how to exit. I am not doing a regular research on that company. I do not understand the business. I'm not tracking that. I've never seen the factory. So those things are very important, right? And and I think there's no harm in taking help from a professional.
Absolutely.
Right? But irrespective, it is not a rocket science also. If you are spending time, if you want to invest your time, do your research, do it, but do it gradually, right? Spend time, like say that 10,000 hours rule, spend those 10,000 hours in that understanding the research, and then you'll definitely there's no rocket science. You have to understand the business, you have to understand the value, and gradually you can become a very good professional yourself. But if you are willing to do that, then you do it yourself. Otherwise you take help from a professional.
That is the core philosophy of even how we operate at Upsurge and Dhan. Like do your own research, only then invest in the markets. Like learn investing, trading first. Don't rely blindly on tips basically. So let's talk a bit about India, China and the world. Where do you think India stands currently on the world map?
See, India, we are all talking about India reaching $4 trillion. But that's what I was talking to recently when I came here. So I think that India is way bigger than 4 trillion. I think a lot of our economy is still not not there in black and white, right? Our agriculture income is still not recorded. a lot of our income is still not there recorded. So I think we are way bigger than that 4 trillion economy. Uh, on the growth side, obviously, we are like the kind of we are going to touch 5 trillion very soon. Everything is in place, right? India as an economy, uh, the RBI is talking about more than 7% kind of a growth in GDP, which is huge for a country which is at this scale, right? And in these times. So I think it is a huge like differentiation that we have. And luckily, I think what happens is if you are attracting capital, I think capital is the key, right? If you have something very good and you attract capital, that takes you places, right? Say any startup. If it is a very good idea and it gets say millions of dollars of funding, that idea shoots off, right? So that's what we are getting. We have the base, we have the infrastructure, we have the digital infrastructure, physical infrastructure, we have the consumption, like our demographics are very favorable, right? So India is going to contribute the highest number of middle class population to the world. Our age demographics are 29 years average age. Millions of people are going to come into the working population who are currently 14, 15 years of age. We are skilled mostly versus any other country which has a very high population, right? Our resources are cheap still, right? Our energy, water, land in a lot of places are still cheap. Government policies are supportive. We are working a lot towards ease of doing business, right? And that we are seeing, right? And then foreign investors are very bullish on India. We are attracting capital not only from foreign investors as an allocation because they do not have an option other than China, which is very large at scale like India. Uh, we are also attracting capital from domestic investors. So if you look at the trend, mutual funds are attracting 18,000 crores of SIPs every month. That is 600 crore rupees is coming to markets every day from investors in terms of SIP. So वो 600 करोड़ का numbers are saying that 600 crores will become more than 1,000 crores every day. So if you just imagine that 1,000 crores coming to market every day and attracting capital, and then we are seeing appetite for new IPOs coming. So capital markets as a ecosystem is evolving, right? So capital markets is supporting small companies, is supporting middle companies, SME companies are coming, taking capital, growing. So that formalization, and then that we are seeing a very big shift. So earlier, if you look at our parents, they used to invest a lot into real estate, right? So that structural shift is happening from physical assets to financial assets. I think that structural shift is going to change completely the way we think, right? And change the ecosystem completely, and that overall thing. So I think every checkbox is being ticked, right? You're seeing a very good infrastructure. You're seeing a lot of opportunities. You are seeing very good demographics, and you are seeing money flowing in to support that economy. So I think amazing times for us. There's no doubt that next few decades will be great for India.
So absolutely fair points, and I personally feel digital public infrastructure in India is much better than what we have in some of these developed countries. And again, with to your point, wherein startups getting listed, and of course there's a long time for us to see multiple startups getting listed, but again they are also going to produce a lot of new millionaires in India.
Yes.
We are only here to grow from now on. So I want to understand, like, do you think India is going to surpass China's GDP numbers at any point?
See, the kind of growth that we are showing and the kind of degrowth China is showing, I think definitely mathematically possible hai na? But obviously we have a lot of things to achieve before that, right? I think it's a long journey. Our PM, I think we've been lucky to have a PM like who is so dedicated to the nation. I think what he has done uh, is actually going to help the future generations to achieve a lot, right? That base is set.
Yeah.
right? And I think still a lot of work is going to happen over the next few years in terms of infrastructure creation, in terms of a lot of hard work that our young people are going to do, which are going to come to the workforce, and which are actually currently also working, right? I think हम में वो बात तो है ही है to surpass China, right? It is just that we missed the last few decades. We were obviously above China also at a point in time, right? But I think that time has come, that our DNA has changed, our thought process has changed, and we are thinking in that direction. Imagine last few years, like before, like say a decade or so, we used to think about Pakistan, we used to think about other nations, but now all those are gone. Now we are just thinking about our growth. Are we not bothered about what's happening that side? Or so I think things have drastically improved. I am seeing a lot of US investors, Canada investors across the globe. मतलब आप कहीं पे भी चले जाओ, they are like यार ये decade तो इंडिया का ही है, इंडिया में ही पैसा लगाना है. मतलब they are not seeing any opportunity elsewhere. And I think that kind of a thing, the kind of infrastructure we have created in digital, with the kind of population we have, now people are wanting to work in India. Then earlier ऐसा था कि भाई कि सबको कनाडा जाना है, सबको ऑस्ट्रेलिया जाना है. वो काफी trends are changing, right? And our workforce want to work in India for the next few years. They don't want a foreign MBA, and they want to work in India because the kind of opportunity that they see. So all again, everything is working in that order, that we go ahead and surpass China. But it is going to take a lot of years. It is going to take a lot of hard work. And if we continued the way we are looking at things, and we are working, definitely it is possible.
Of course we'll get there, but what do you think, some of the policy changes or new policies that the government should bring in to help us get there faster?
See, I think government has been doing a lot of steps already, right? Like you look at renewables, right? Energy was a crisis when we saw Russia, Ukraine. So your renewable focus was there, and we were one of the few who were doing solar, we are manufacturing solar panels in India. Infrastructure again, public transport, logistics policy, export focus, then G20. Then the biggest thing was that the geopolitical alignments that we did, G20, how we actually went on and countered the Belt and Road Initiative of China and created our own initiative and got the larger countries to sign for it, right? So all those things are there in order, right? I think it should continue the way it is, right? मतलब इतना भी अगर हम लोग कर लेंगे और इसको अगर we continue with the same zeal, we are going to achieve huge. Like I'll just a quick touch on politics. Like what was done in the last recent three state elections, like that, giving opportunity to someone who was standing not even on the first 2-3 queues, actually opens up the mindset, right? It was a re-engineering in itself, that even एक छोटा कार्यकर्ता भी सोच रहा है कि यार मेरे को भी सीएम बनने का मौका मिल सकता है कल, which he never used to think. Now everybody will be working. Earlier everybody was like, okay, we know who is our leader, but now everybody in the political organization would be working that, okay, tomorrow I can be a leader, right? It's an engineering in itself. I think a lot of different things are happening in our country, and I think touchwood, if we continue the way we are, uh, like it'll be huge.
You also happen to mention real estate investing, right? So I'm curious to know, do you have like real estate as a part of your portfolio, and how do you look at it?
See, I've recently bought one, but that was a different reason. But yeah, we are someone who believe in almost 0% real estate in our portfolio. If you look at me, my partner, our real estate as a part of our portfolio would not even be 2-3%, right? So we know what we are doing. We know we are very comfortable with what we are doing, and we know that जो 20-25%, 30% के रिटर्न मार्केट से बन सकते हैं, वो कहीं से नहीं बन सकते, right? Long term, yes. Emotionally, we are connected to real estate, so we buy real estate because we have to have our own house, and we have. But I think as an investment, there are a lot of constraints in terms of managing the real estate, in terms of liquidity, in terms of the cost involved around. So I think financially it is like you can defer those decisions if you. What I have seen a lot of investors who invested in large real estate. So I'll tell you one thing. So if you look at we have seen a lot of investors who have real estates for 10 crores, 20 crores, 30 crores, but जेब में पैसे नहीं है, मतलब लिक्विडिटी नहीं है, आपके पास 10 लाख रुपए भी नहीं है, मतलब आपके पास 10 करोड़ की रियल एस्टेट है, 10 लाख रुपए भी नहीं है जेब में, बिकॉज एंड यू कैन नॉट सेल दोज रियल एस्टेट्स इन पार्ट्स, राइट? नाउ थिंग्स आर इम्प्रूविंग इन द सेक्टर. There are innovations happening. We are seeing fractional investing in real estate. We are seeing अब क्या है, ticket sizes बहुत बड़े हो गए हैं. What we end up doing is just to ensure that we at least get something which we feel is like as per our standards. Uh, we stretch our budgets. We take leverage. We go ahead and uh, take personal loans from families, and we actually try to stretch our budgets, right? End up stretching our budgets. So I think that stretches our complete finance. That stretches our mental thing. See, I think having a peace of mind is very important. If you have financial independence, I think with stocks and with markets, what happens is you have liquidity. मुझे कल पैसा चाहिए, मेरे को कल मिल जाएगा. अब तो T+1, T+0 हो रहा है, ठीक है? तो मेरे को whenever I want money, I can get it, right? I think that peace of mind is very important, right? Ultimately, that is the most expensive thing in the world if you get that peace of mind. So I think rather than having illiquid assets as a portfolio, if it is for your own self, definitely there's a lot of emotional value attached, and you should go ahead and do that. But if it is for investments, I would shy away from that, right? New age products can definitely be explored, like fractional investing, but उसमें भी return उस type का नहीं है, right? So I think I am able to answer your question.
Got it. So now that we are towards the end of this podcast, let I have a fun exercise to do with you, okay? Let's consider I am someone who's just started earning. I work in tech. I earn say 50,000 per month, and my goals are that I want to afford 2 international vacations a year. How should I structure my portfolio?
So, why do you want 2 international vacations?
It's a personal goal.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could have said I want to buy an iPhone, but that's pretty achievable. So
Yeah. But I think, see, you have to have a backup first of all. See, again, if I am going ahead and spending all what I have in a vacation would cost you say 3 lakhs, or for a foreign vacation, right? And you're spending 6 lakh rupees in 2 vacations, and you are earning 50,000 a month. तो टैक्स देके फिर आप खाना क्या खाओगे और घर पे कहाँ रहोगे? तो मतलब your expenses are not going to be met.
No, so
right?
some years down the line, I want to afford that.
Yeah. So first of all, you have to balance it out, right? I think first of all, you should not be taking any personal loans for this goal. People tend to take personal loans, and I think that is against the principles of what we have had as a traditional. I think that's a more Western concept, but I think that should be avoided, right? Then try saving. Like ये म्यूचुअल फंड के ऐड बड़ा सही बताते हैं इसके बारे में कि आपको अगर गाड़ी खरीदने का गोल है या फॉरेन वेकेशन का गोल है, तो आप 10,000 की SIP, 5,000 की SIP करते रहो, वॉट एवर यू फील. आई थिंक depending on your budgets, at least you should try to save 20 to 40% of your monthly income, and try doing SIPs. SIP is the best way to fulfill all your goals, right? SIP, even in how we like in the PMS, in the small cases, mutual fund तो है ही है. PMS small case में भी हम लोग we target people doing SIPs, and we have seen that if people who do SIPs tend to make 4 or 5% more alpha than people who do not do SIPs, right? So I think that habit, rather than investing lump sum कि मेरा 1 लाख होगा तब लगाऊंगी, I think doing on a regular basis, small amounts, and second, keeping a financial buffer in terms of your emergencies is very important. And third, I think keeping basic term insurance etc is very important. I think ये दो तीन चीजें हैं तो you are sorted. But the biggest thing that people do not do, and what we see, is that people start very late. वो अगर हम फाइनेंस इंडस्ट्री में हम इतने लोगों से बात करते हैं तो शायद हमारी समझ बन जाती है, बट लेकिन a lot of people who are in IT, who are in other spaces, they realize this very late.
Yeah.
And when people reach 35 years 40 years, सैलरी बहुत अच्छी होगी, 3 लाख 4 लाख सैलरी होगी महीने की, बट सेविंग जीरो है.
Yeah.
50 लाख भी नहीं निकाल पाते पीएमएस के लिए. तो अल्टीमेटली 50 लाख तो चलो बहुत ज्यादा हो गया, काफी चीजें दे आर नॉट एबल, दे हैव नॉट बॉट अ हाउस, दे हैव नॉट बॉट अ कार, बिग कार दे हैव नाउ. फिर देन दे रियलाइज दैट ओके मेरे फर्दर अब बच्चे भी बड़े हो जाएंगे, उनके लिए भी एक्सपेंसेस हैं, तो दे आर स्टक इन दैट साइकिल. I think starting very early is very important, and starting at and that I think you guys are doing through literacy. I think that literacy around financial well-being is very much required, and I guess kudos to you guys that you are like doing those initiatives where you are making them realize how to do it, and the only thing that they require is starting early.
Yeah. No, I have spoken to so many people like who are in their late 40s and they are starting their SIPs then.
Yeah.
And when I speak to them, I realize that it was clearly a lack of awareness, financial illiteracy, as you mentioned, right? That they didn't know better. All they knew was some LIC because of a relative, or doing FDs. But I think a lot has happened in the last 4 to 5 years in terms of financial awareness, and at Upsurge also we want to contribute more to this. So we have a quick rapid fire for you, okay? First, good business with high valuations or not so great business with dirt cheap valuations?
See, I will give a slightly longer answer for this. हम अपने we say this कि अगर आपको 24 कैरेट्स खरा सोना, which is the highest grade of सोना, अगर आपको 60,000 रुपए में मिलता है, या आपको 14 कैरेट खरा सोना 10,000 रुपए मिलता है, तो आप क्या लोगे? तो we usually try to figure out those 14 carat khara sona which we are able to get at 10,000 rupees. So we look at more at value as an investor. That's where we make most of our alpha.
Okay. Investing in India or the US, what would you always choose?
Definitely India. We have discussed a lot about it. India.
One investing myth you'd like to debunk?
See, I think getting rich overnight is from markets. I think that is a investment myth, right? It will take a lot of time, and I think it usually till your hair gets gray, you're not making huge wealth from markets. So I think you're not going to get rich overnight through markets, but you have to keep it disciplined and consistent.
Okay. Business story or business numbers? What's more important?
I think I would say my first preference would be business story than business numbers, because see, numbers are what is there in the black and white, but the story that is forming, right, is more important for me, and like what steps the company is taking to reach to that story. So I think story is very important.
If you could have dinner with one investor, who would you choose, dead or alive?
Someone who's recently died, Charlie Munger. I think big fan of his, and we are all like we have all learned from him, and I think he would be the one if that were a possibility.
Yeah. What's the one stock that's always on your watch list?
See, no comments on that. But we should like a stock. You should not love a stock, right? So we feel that like rather than having just one stock on my radar, we are a research house, so we keep a larger set of stocks in our radar at a point in time.
One index you like, benchmarking yourself to?
BSE mid cap index. So I think mostly our stocks are benchmarked to that index.
If you had to choose one stock to bet your life on, what would it be?
Green portfolio.
One stock you're married to?
Green portfolio.
Okay. Mutual fund or direct equity for first timers?
See, I would definitely say mutual funds. That is a good way to start, and gradually you should learn your way and gradually explore with a smaller capital. And if you can learn and spend time, then gradually do direct equity. That is more rewarding.
So a bull market or a bear market, what do you enjoy more?
बुल मार्केट में हमारे पास करने के लिए कुछ नहीं होता. मतलब वो आपने स्टॉक्स ले रखे होते हैं, वो अच्छा कर रहे होते हैं. तो बेयर मार्केट इज टाइम वेयर वी हैव टू डू अ लॉट ऑफ स्टॉक पिकिंग, and we love those phases where we get things for discount.
In one word, describe the feeling of spotting a multi-bagger.
Ecstatic. You actually when you see those movements when the stock actually turns around and actually does that well, it is amazing feeling, right? All that patience that we had spent, all that research that actually becomes worth it.
One investing mistake you would never like to repeat?
See, investing in penny stocks without understanding of the background and simply investing that it is a penny stock. I think that was very early mistake that we did. Now we are way evolved than that.
Small cap or mid cap, if you just had to choose one?
Personally, small cap.
Okay. And lastly, your favorite investing quote?
It's when the tide turns, you get to know who is swimming naked.
That was really nice. Thank you so much, Divam. This was very, very insightful. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.